A state of emergency has been declared for the Northern Hemisphere as the numbers go beyond expectations. Dark winter is near, and our recommendation at this stage is to take this virus seriously and to distance yourselves from contamination. If you live in an apartment, get out. If you live in the city, get out. The numbers are going to be much worse than you can imagine. At this stage, it looks like the numbers are going to be at least 10 times worse than what we saw this spring. And what was fortunate about the peak in the spring is that summer bailed us out. Here we are going to get a full COVID winter. Like and share. Let's get an audience in here. We're broadcasting live. Much love to everybody out there. But the numbers are in, and our probability has gone up to 80% dark winter, worst case scenario, beyond everyone's expectations. A literal extinction level event in these big cities. And that's where the action is going to be, is in these big cities, because community virus load in these big cities will explode and turn it into a Fukushima, into a meltdown. Now, here are some of the numbers that we're seeing in Europe. And Europe is a little bit in the future in terms of this epidemic. That's how it was in the spring. That's how it'll be in the winter. But right now, we're seeing waveforms that are just way beyond what you would expect for September. And looking at how this thing just lingered over the summer, it didn't go away. We saw positivity rates in most countries at 5% or more, with at least 500,000 people complaining of long-term COVID effects. And that means that all the people that are basically, well, we'll get into that, but the people that are testing positive today are reinfections or relapses, which is another scary statistic. But we're definitely seeing the numbers go north. And it's early in the winter season. Now we're just waiting for something a little more appropriate. Coronavirus is essentially a flu-like virus. There's coronavirus flu that circulates every year. What we see in flu-like seasons is, and this is all strains, all, influenza A, influenza B, the coronavirus, etc. But what we see is that in the summer months, there's no deaths. This is normal, expected behavior for flu-like seasons. However, we expect to see an uptick starting in November. But we're seeing this uptick now. And while we did see the trough, the baseline at 0 essentially, we expect this to go way, way up. Now, we'll get into the skepticism, because right now our forecast models are 80-20. 80% probability at this stage that this is going to be a catastrophic dark winter. 20%, it fizzles away. It, blends into the noise of the flu season, and that's it. But here's another demonstration of the peaks and the troughs that we see during the flu seasons, going back to 2010. And notice how the amplitude is progressively getting worse. Now, we know why this is happening. They are releasing flu viruses to sell their vaccines, and they keep getting worse and worse, not to mention the other environmental effects, if you will. such as 5G radiation and unhealthy lifestyles. We'll be getting into unhealthy lifestyles. But see, this is the general trend that we see. So when, during the flu seasons. Now, when people are celebrating in the summer months, at the very, bottom of the wave, you have to be asking yourself, what the fuck are you celebrating? Oh, in August, there's 0 deaths. In July, there's 0 deaths. And it wasn't 0, ladies and gentlemen. But what the fuck are you people celebrating out there looking at the statistics? How's everybody doing out there? If you're just joining us, breaking news. A state of emergency has been declared for the Northern Hemisphere. Dark winter has begun. The numbers are beyond expectations. They're going to be worse than you can imagine. They've taken the air samples. They know what's coming out of people. Yes. You don't have a lab. They got a lab. We can't really see their results, but look.
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
The video guy is
You're
fired.
sure of it? Because people are listening really
No.
closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
You should not be walking around with a mask, let alone locking yourself in, locking down, wearing a mask indoors, no sunlight, no fresh air. This is not what you want to do. This is not healthy living. And when you think about what they're prescribing to people these days as medical care, you really have to wonder whose side these people are on. It's almost as if healthcare has become death care. They're trying to take people out as quickly as possible. And ever since the beginning of this outbreak, it's been nothing but the wrong advice. Ladies and gentlemen, they want to go to the extremes. This is what they want you to do, is to be like this guy, like a chimp, all right, with a mask. Ladies and gentlemen. Any case, we're going to be getting into...
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
Okay, we've talked about the pandemic. We've talked about the 5G genocide, the 5G aspect on how it attacks your immune system. We've talked about a lot of things over the year since we started covering this outbreak. We know more about this virus and about this disease than just about anybody out there. So when we tell you that there is an 80% probability that the world is going to get slammed with a winter it will never forget, you better write that shit down. You know what I mean? Oh, it looks like the Matrix is interfering with our broadcast. Believe it or not. We can hear the alarms go off. Is there an intruder? Now it's not even the video guy. Some kind of saboteur. This is live television for you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure if you heard that. I hope you didn't hear that. Do our best to continue this broadcast. But right now, it's a state of emergency in the Northern Hemisphere. And what's coming next is going to be worse. Now, we've been talking about the Miami syndrome. We saw that Miami was an epicenter for the COVID throughout this outbreak. And they've got the most developed 5G in Florida. Now, the capital of Spain, Madrid, is basically locked down. They sent in the army. They just flipped on the 5G over there. When this thing broke out in Wuhan, they just flipped on the 5G over there. And while everybody was locked down, they were hurrying up to roll out even more 5G. So undoubtedly, 5G is a variable in this equation. But is it a cofactor or is it the factor, ladies and gentlemen? That is the question. But right now, most people in these big cities, they're just like cows grazing in the pasture, waiting for the slaughterhouse. Moo, cows. Oh, look, I'm looking at the I'm looking at the chat. People are like, scary. You're scaring me. Halloween is coming, bitches. Dark winter is coming. Are you ready? No, you're not. That's why we're telling you to get ready. Get your toilet paper, bitches. Go get your canned food. Go get your ammo. Because this is going to be a trifecta of terror. We're going to have like the Civil War after the election. We're going to have medical martial law, gray state, pandemonium, fucking bullets everywhere. Potentially. You better get ready. You better have your Red Dawn crew. We've been talking about this for like a year. And we're seeing Boogaloo crews everywhere. And what do you got out there? The libtards are probably more organized than you. Ladies and gentlemen. But we definitely see a serious disinformation campaign trying to play down the severity of this disease throughout the outbreak, giving people a false sense of security like, oh, there's no problem. Just wash your hands. You don't need a mask. Remember that? Remember those days? You don't need a mask? You need a mask now, don't you? Now you might be saying to yourself, the mask makes it worse. Probably does. The masks aren't really the solution. And, too much of anything is a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. Like and share. Let's get an audience out there. We've been heavily censored, as you're well aware. This is the backup page. The only place where we can broadcast live for the time being. This content does get syndicated and distributed in the blockchain. Please be part of our blockchain. Set up a channel, like and share, and mirror the content. In any case, here we are. Dark winter. The numbers are through the roof. Right now, we are not impressed with the numbers, and this thing did not just fade away. And given the trajectory right now, here, let's explain like some of these graphs, some of these numbers that we're seeing from European countries, which are literally 3-4 weeks ahead of the North American schedule at this stage. But the numbers that we're seeing right now for the end of September are parabolic compared to where they were at the tail end of the first wave. Now, the first wave really began in January. All of the graphs on the mainstream media begin in March, because for them, it's March when the outbreak occurred. But everybody knows that it's really January. So here's another example. You'll only really see graphs back until March. Now, if you look into the details, of polymerase chain reaction, PCR tests, the nose swabs and the like, they only work for about 2 or 3 weeks after primary infection, after the first symptoms. And so that means that 2 or 3 weeks after infection, you're not showing up on the test. By the time they started testing people in March and April, and these were just first responders, they didn't even test the general public really until June. But by the time they started testing the general public, they totally missed the first wave. So everything that they're picking up now is literally reinfections or relapses. Now, why do we say that? Because we know that the reproduction number was north of 5, and so it would have infected everyone in every city around the world in about 2 or 3 months. By March, April, everybody was infected. What we're seeing now are reinfections, and this is part of the problem. This is part of the enigma of the forever virus, the airborne HIV, which keeps reinfecting people and has all sorts of intricate countermeasures to suppress the immune system. This is an engineered bioweapon, and this is another reason why you don't want to just be dancing in it, breathing it in, because this stuff is supposed to be in a lab. And everyone out there that's been infected has become like a bioreactor for this virus, continuously generating, shedding new virus or virus particles, virus proteins, exosomes. A lot of people are confused about the science. Nobody has a lab. That's the problem with the situation, is that nobody has a lab to isolate this for themselves. We have to go on, what's out there in the publications. But all the scientists are, chanting the same things, like a botnet, And so that's the 20% variable in the equation. But we feel highly confident that right now where the numbers are at, this means that by the time we hit December, January, we could be looking at, something never seen before in living color, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we're at right now. Now, right now they're testing about 4 or 5 times as many people as they were back in March, if not way more than that. So these numbers aren't totally equal, but again, they would have you believe that April was the peak of the first wave. But that was something completely different. The peak of the first wave was really January, February, and March when everybody got hit with it. And everybody knows they got hit with it. Everybody knows they got hit with it. Ladies and gentlemen. Question is, will you get hit with it again? And chances are yes. And for many people, it's never left. They have the chronic fatigue. We recommend magnesium and vitamin B12. Now, here's the thing. This disease, this virus turns into a disease. It's not just the pneumonia. The pneumonia is the first stage. But after the pneumonia, it turns into something like MS, multiple sclerosis. It attacks the nervous system. This is well known with coronaviruses, especially this class of beta coronaviruses. They're neurotropic. And so you really want the vitamin B12 because that's essentially what they recommend for people with MS. And you want to look at everything that they're recommending for people with MS, all of the natural things, because they don't have a full-blown cure for MS. And it's, anti-inflammatories. We've shared this information over and over again, but, natural anti-inflammatories, minerals, herbs, whatever you can get, baking soda, start introducing those things into your diet, slowly but surely. They say even smoking weed, believe it or not, is a huge anti-inflammatory immune system booster. We also recommend spirulina and many other herbs and spices. Ladies and gentlemen, look at these people. Straight from hell, and that's where they need to go. We're going to send them back, ladies and gentlemen. How many people have seen the movie Full Metal Jacket? I was thinking about something else there, but got to send them back to hell, just like that. Any case, where were we? The numbers, staggering, and way beyond where they should be at this stage. And it's only going to get worse, much, much worse. Traditionally, if you look at this as some kind of stock trade, right? When you see a stock linger on a baseline for a long time without really, going to zero and turning into a junk thing, but it's just sitting there building momentum, and this virus is sitting at 5% positivity, over the summer in most places, sometimes up to 20%. When you see something chilling on a baseline for that long, it's going to skyrocket one way or another because there's enough interest to keep it there. And so, it seems like, 5%, 10% in some places is the support level. And where it goes from there, ladies and gentlemen. We're already seeing, such erratic numbers coming from countries like France that you have to wonder what's going to happen there. And I really don't want to, spend too much time on how, unhygienic the French are. But everybody knows they stink. They smell so bad. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't even understand. And so, knowing their hygiene and how they're packed in together like rats. It's the worst stack and pack you've ever seen in your life. Pretty much. Oh, we expect the numbers to be like Wuhan come this winter. And, with any luck, it will be. Ladies and gentlemen. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens out there. But this is, just one of the indicators that we have, and it's happening everywhere. Total meltdown. The dynamics are rather simple, to say the least. The severity of symptoms are directly linked to virus load. It's very much like HIV. How many of you know anything about HIV? Come on, raise your hands. Everybody knows something about HIV, right? It's Fauci's virus as well. That's another Fauci virus. Engineered. Like the Ebola. How many dry runs before COVID-19? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be getting into the news. Yes, get the vaccine. Ladies and gentlemen. How many of you are going to get the vaccine? Anybody? Anyone at all? Yes, Wuhan has become very lively. We're looking at the chat right now. Did they replace the people there? Have they distributed the antidote? We talked about that in a previous broadcast. Be sure to check out our video archives, and they're dispersed everywhere these days. You've got some videos on this channel, some videos on that channel, because basically, we get censored on one, move to another, that one gets censored, and then so on and so forth. But check out our website for all of the latest, ladies and gentlemen, stfnreport.com. So you can get all of these news stories as well that we're going to be talking about. But look at all these people that are crowding together. Now, many people out there are under the impression there's no virus. Wouldn't you say that's a bit of a gamble right now? I mean, you might think there's no virus, but how do you really know? And you could say the exact opposite. Maybe there is no virus. How do you know there is a virus? But you don't really know. So this turns, this kind of comes back to risk management. How risque do you want to be out there right now? Our advice is to treat this seriously at this stage. We would tell you, look, we would be the first ones to tell you, go out there without a mask, have fun. It's bullshit. We have never said that. We're open to the possibility. But we have never said that there is no virus. We've never told people to go out there and breathe that shit in. And at this stage, these people that are going out there doing that are taking a huge risk. And according to the statistics, we better get into the news because, according to the statistics, these cases are exploding in the younger demographics. Now, we know that the younger demographics don't go severe for various reasons, therefore giving them the illusion that there's nothing to worry about. But that's the problem, is that not everybody is going through the exact same, disease, if you will. And look, I mean, you could compare this to, many other things, but it's just like if you were going to say, if this was like the flu, not everybody gets the flu the same way. Some people are in bed for like 5 days or 2 weeks. Some people have like the 24-hour flu. And that's generally kind of like how they are. But things change over time. And this is a forever virus that keeps attacking, the immune system. And, we talked about this before as well, how this virus has a payload. This virus docks into your cells, delivers a payload of genetically modified information, which is programmed to fuck you up over time. And the severity, again, is based on virus load. The more virus in you, the more virus in your community, in the room that you're in, the worse it's going to be. Now, of course, the weather has a huge impact on how you feel as well. Oh, this is the first day of the new year in the Holy Land. How many of you know your Old Testament? It is the year 5781. We just think it's the year 2020. Do you know your history? It's in the Bible. You better read it. You better understand. We're not going to get into this right now, but you can check it all out on our website. Now this is New York here. They're saying positivity rate has climbed to nearly 5% in certain boroughs. I mean, that tells you that this thing is going to blow up here real soon. In terms of statistics, when you start seeing it climb to new thresholds, break ceilings, and start moving like a stock price, then essentially you got problems. And this thing is going to start climbing and climbing. But right now, current situation, 6 New York City boroughs see a spike, 5%. It's on the way. Now check out, this is the health commissioner in Texas. Of course, he's got the giant pentagram behind him on purpose, right? So whatever this guy's going to tell you, it's bad news. Bad news. But they're talking about all the COVID they're finding in the wastewater. And that's another interesting metric. In these big cities, they can basically, look at, what the concentrations are. We're not going to get into that. It's kind of disturbing. Right now, let's see, more COVID rage. Is it? Have you seen the COVID rage? Now, we've talked about this. This virus causes encephalitis. It causes hallucinations. Remember Cuomo? On CNN, he's like, oh shit, I was seeing pink elephants and everything. He was having a trip. He was tripping balls on COVID. And there's actually a lot of scientific literature that's talking about, dementia-like states, aggressive behavior. We've talked about that. We can bring, those research papers up again. But this is all the more reason why you just want to stay away. Look, our advice right now in the worst case scenario is just wait to see what happens this winter. Because right now, statistically speaking, this thing is going to blow up like a nuclear bomb in everybody's city. Now, if you're out in the country in a small town, hey, good for you. You don't have no 5G. That's wonderful. It's going to look good in your town. You know what I mean? But in these big cities, watch out. They're about to get exterminated. Sodom and Gomorrah is about to burn. What do you guys think about that? Let us know. It's coming, bitches. I'm telling you, it's coming. It's fucking coming. These people are toast. And we're going to be covering it every step of the way. Not to mention the Civil War is on deck. Everybody ready for that? So, look, here's positivity rate. So positivity, again, is like out of 100 tests, how many are positive? Right? So, right now, 1 in 10. And look, looking at the statistics right now, and I think the statistics are really important to think about. Right now, in theory, there's only been like 0.001% of the people that have died from this. So chances are you don't know anybody yet. But if this thing goes exponential, jumps by a factor of 10 or 100, all of a sudden this thing, really becomes like Wuhan, you're going to be hearing about it soon. There's only 7 degrees of separation between everybody. So right now it's at 0.1%. Yeah, it doesn't seem like much is going on. But when that starts going up to, 20%, and this, I think this thing is going to be a killer, a major killer. That's what it looks like right now, ladies and gentlemen. And the numbers, well, they're through the roof. More COVID rage. You think it's about, social justice, but it's people just losing their fucking minds. It's the zombie apocalypse happening right now. What do we got here now? Vitamin D reduces infection and impact of COVID-19. It's a natural anti-inflammatory, well known to improve, other flu like symptoms as well. Nothing better than sunlight. Get as much of it as you can on as much of your body as you can. And in the winter, you're going to have to get MacGyver, Use the vest to kind of like block out the wind and lift up your shirt. Get yourself 10, 15 minutes of sunshine. Eat things like liver. Liver. It's good for you. Cod liver, calf liver, if you want to butcher a poor little calf. But vitamin D and all sorts of vitamins. You really want to be at 110% on all your vitamins. They all serve a function, ladies and gentlemen. What else we got out here? Oh, this was horrible. This is out in the UK. Check out, the little kids are just beating the shit out of what looks like the traffic warden or something. I mean, literally, bad. And the guy, I mean, at the end of it is just like rolling around in severe pain. And it seems like they don't have much respect out there anymore after, Tommy Robinson, Julian Assange, dressing up for gay pride, twerking, Sodom and Gomorrah. How many of you want to think about, two police officers, two dudes plowing each other in the patrol car, then coming to you and telling you, you got to wear a mask? What's that I smell in your breath, sir? Does it smell like penis? I'm not sure if you can say that on the internet. The FCC just called. Death towers are coming everywhere. We're seeing billboards like this in Michigan. Anti-guns, anti-police, anti-America. Don't elect creepy fucking Biden. The dude can't even run a McDonald's, ladies and gentlemen. And, I mean, I think the first debate is just going to settle the affair. I'm not sure how many people are really going to turn out and vote for creepy Biden. But, look, we know that these Democrats, these libtards, have no morals, period. So expect the worst. Expect a fight. They probably won't even show up and vote. They'll just they're just going to mail everything in, right? And make it seem like, 100 million people voted for Biden through the mail. Yeah, right, ladies and gentlemen. That time when he got into the Senate 180 years ago. He was serious, too. Doesn't even know what year it is. Look at these people. Straight out of hell. I mean, these people are demons. And, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. There's something definitely wrong with these people. And they're all, preaching the same thing. It's a Luciferian cause, and you know it. Supply chain is broken and food shortages are here. We're also getting reports that, lots of internet companies are out of stock on this, that, and the other. We're going to have to start manufacturing. We're going to have the dirty factories pumping out poisons in your neighborhood. You're going to have to go there and slave away at the shoe factory if you want shoes. Gone are the days of $10 shoes, ladies and gentlemen. UN forced to admit Gates-funded vaccine is causing polio outbreak in Africa. An attenuated vaccine that reverts and becomes transmissible. The whole idea of transmissible vaccines is kind of like an antivirus. Who out there sells antivirus, ladies and gentlemen? The Biden fundraiser here. Literally, this is an official event, Joe Biden event in Nebraska. It's like 10 people. Nobody's showing up at their events. How are you going to expect that 50 or 100 million people are going to vote for Biden? But that's what they're going to report. Their numbers are so fake. And it's ironic that it's channels like this one that's getting censored when it should really be the CNN, the NBC, the CBS. You know what I mean? Bunell High School closes for 2 weeks. That's in Connecticut, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing out there? But we're going to be getting into the string of school closings, and this is kind of like a sign of what's coming our way, because they're the only place that's really kind of testing people, methodically. And right now, I mean, they're just closing one after the other. In the UK, it's pretty much like, the H-bomb went off. There's like, at least a week ago, it was like 700 schools closed, 25,000 teachers in isolation. That was like a week ago. What is it now? But in America, it's starting. Emmett High School will close Friday for deep cleaning after COVID cases were reported. Hadley elementary school will close after COVID case. Don't ask me where these townships are, but this is what's coming through. What's this? Mask wearers are now arriving in ICU with antibiotic-resistant strains of pneumonia from breathing in the pathogenic organisms they were meant to exhale. So, it's obviously going to be a problem if your mask becomes a huge source of contamination. So this requires, professional hygiene, essentially. So you got to change your mask like several times a day. Don't touch the mask. But the thing is here is that we don't recommend that you wear a mask unless you're going to go in to a public kind of thing. Don't wear the mask at home. Don't wear the mask at the car. Now, if you've got multiple people living at home or multiple people living in the car, then you really want to air out. You got to scrub that air or flush it out. So either you get air filters that are really like, HEPA, super HEPA filters, or you flush out the air. And in the winter, it's more difficult, right? Because it's cold, so you want to keep the windows closed. That's the trap. Because as the windows are closed, the virus load will build up in that room or in that house. And as it builds up, then people will start getting more and more sick. So you really want to think about community virus load as well as personal virus load. What are you getting exposed to every day? But the masks will help you at the grocery store, but they're not going to help you, while you're just sitting at home watching TV. And I think we've got that video here of what not to do. What's the video guy doing? We expect that this is going to lag here. Okay, but don't be this guy that's just sitting there watching TV with a mask on with like the shades drawn, right? No sunlight, no fresh air, right? This is not how you want to lock down or hibernate or, whatever. So essentially you're going to want to not do this, but in the store it's okay. But these kind of masks, they got big holes on the side. So they protect you very little. They protect you from a frontal blast of virus going straight into the back of your throat, but that's about it. You're still getting, ambient exposure. You're still breathing in the air. So you need something better. And, we're not going to talk about masks and all of that really, but they are a source of problems. And they can cause more damage than good. Sometimes the cure is worse than the disease. You know what I mean? Let's see what else we got. So MPs in the UK, ministers, prime ministers, are trying to ban harmful words from the internet in a new free speech row, they say. So, now words are going to be banned systematically, one after another. And they'll start with the big words like fuck you and, eat shit. But then it'll become other words. And as soon as they start banning words, then soon, many other words will be banned as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing mass protests pretty much worldwide for liberty and for the right to not wear masks. Now, this is becoming a very divisive topic because deep down you want to say, F the lockdown, F your mask, F your vaccine. And, I think that there's, a lot of reasons to agree with that. But at this stage, there's something terribly wrong with the world. A bio-Fukushima event happened late last year, and it's contaminated the entire world. Now, was that done on purpose, or was it accidental? Is another story, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, somehow you guys aren't seeing what we're seeing. No kidding, the video guy's fired. You guys still even there? Is the broadcast still there? want to give a big shout out to everybody in the audience. Owen, Protonic Storm, Silver Fox Dude, Pat's Place, Wilfred, Sherry, Doc Holiday, Marco in the morning on 95.1 KFOC. FOK, was it? Sammy loves Sophie. What are you doing? We got a romantic. DJ K's back in the house. Where have you been, brother? Tammy from California. Moses Games. You guys better be ready for this winter. I understand that many of you want to hope for the best and think that it's all a hoax. And as lovely as that would be at this stage, we find that to be a very low probability for various reasons. And I think that this winter will end all skepticism as they're hauling you off for not wearing your mask. I think that inevitably this is going to be survival of the fittest. Mask, no mask, lockdown, no lockdown. It's not going to change a thing. This virus is here, and it's here to stay. And, you know, some people will be hit by it hard, and others won't. And that might seem okay, but from what we understand about this virus is that it is, you know, a chronic disease like HIV. And, you know, in the disease spectrum of HIV, most people don't, you know, get full-blown AIDS for, you know, 5-10 years after infection. So nobody can say with certainty that there will be people out there that aren't affected by this virus. Not to mention that it looks like this virus causes cancer as well as MS-related diseases, mad cow, the rage. Everybody's been infected by this progressive disease. That's why we're recommending everyone take natural anti-inflammatories to slow it down. That's the only thing you got that you can get at the grocery store that you can actually get right now. And they're trying to block everything that might help you, including, you know, hydroxychloroquine, but other things as well. Hydrogen peroxide is very effective as a disinfectant and as, you know, way to kind of swab your nose, clean your nose. And we actually recommend, you know, if you have to, if you feel like you've been contaminated, to huff on a, you know, bottle of hydrogen peroxide, you know, 3 to 10% per volume. And when we mean huff, I mean just, you know, kind of like take a deep breath with your lips, you know, right around the rim of the opening of the bottle. You just take a deep breath of it. Don't hold it in too long. And don't do it too often, or else that will give you COVID symptoms as well. Residents in Lake Jackson, Texas are told not to use the water because of brain-eating amoeba. How many of you would say that that doesn't exist? Huh? There is no such thing as a brain-eating amoeba? It was the 5G. Well, look, they say it happened. And of course, when that happens, they flush out the water system with chlorine like you can't even believe. You probably smelling the chlorine in the water right now. How many of you smell the chlorine in the water? Come on. Admit to something. But, yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad. Even if you don't drink it, you could cook it, you know, cook with it, shower in it. Yesterday, the Proud Boys invaded Portland again for the beatdown in memory of Jay Bishop, Jay Danielson, that was shot in cold blood by a communist I'm sure all of you saw the surveillance footage where they were stalking this guy. But they came back. It didn't get to be as violent. You know, we heard some other show on ScrewTube say, oh, you're just going to give them what they want? That way they can call you an extremist? Look, ladies and gentlemen, you know, right now, you are being irradiated, infected, sprayed, attacked on all levels, physically, mentally, spiritually, by this beast system. And you just want to grab your ankles? Are you kidding me? You know, these people from the big cities, like Portland and the like, they're no different than Sodom and Gomorrah. They will meet their end in a similar fashion. So don't feel bad, you know, showing up to protect your community from these demons. Because in the book of Revelation, these people are genocided. They're wiped out. Make that path straight, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, we like this virus. We like the idea that these big cities are going to be wiped out and that we get to watch this happen. And it's better for them that they think that there's no virus, isn't it? Imagine if you've got a bioweapon. I want you to imagine this. I want you to think about this here for a second. Imagine you have a bioweapon. Do you want people running away from it or running towards it? Come on, think about this now. I know it's tough. I know this makes you angry. I can feel it. But just go ahead, imagine. If you were to release a bioweapon, do you want them to run away from it? Like the movie Outbreak? You know, locking down the city and, you know, nuking the city if they have to so they can contain the virus? Or do you want them running right into it like, there is no virus? Yeah. Initiate Project Zypher. Release the virus. Exterminate the sheeple. So civil war is coming. Everybody knows it. Wait for it, ladies and gentlemen. Wait for it. It's coming. Just days away. Ooh, that was brutal. What's this? More violence. More rage. And yes, the Boogaloo crews are on the hunt. It's looking very patriotic. It's looking like the Hunger Games, the Purge. It needs to happen. It's either us or them. They're going to release the Skynet, the Terminators, the Robocops, the Cyborgs, the works. Notice a taser shield? They're bringing taser shields now to these things. That's awesome. What's this? Oh, yeah, brutal. Check this out. This is for your security. This is for your safety. Please back away. Check this out again. Did you see it? Probably not. It's probably a little choppy. But essentially, watch out for that lady in the green here that's just going to get projected. But she just got her ass kicked. Uppercut. Another brutal scene from Trafalgar Square. And it's getting rowdy out there in the UK, much different than in other countries like Australia and Canada. But the UK is showing up right there, you know. And we'll see where it goes. But the vaccines are coming. Especially in liberal dominant jurisdictions, left-leaning areas, blue states, and the like. Look at that. Huh. See that guy? Did you see that guy? He got whacked. Ah, little Comey. Mini-Me has been following around Comey for years. The FBI is such a corrupt organization. It's been corrupt since the Martin Luther King days. Why is it still there? Why is it still there, ladies and gentlemen? So that it can plant evidence and cover up the crimes of the elite. Seth Rich and the like, the laptop. Cure worse than the disease. Study says UK lockdown linked to thousands of excess deaths. They're saying that it's going to be twice as bad. The lockdowns will be twice as bad as the virus itself. We'll have to see. Right now, our projections are that the numbers will be probably 10 times worse than what we saw last spring in all metrics. Cases per day, hospitalizations, deaths, and the like. But we know that, you know, they've found better treatments for COVID in theory. Will they be applied, or will they continue to intubate and ventilate and murder? Poor people will have to see. I mean, you saw how they, you know, sent in infected people into the nursing homes so that they could kill off as many people as they could. I mean, this system is out to kill you. And Fakebook and ScrewTube are there to make sure that nobody hears you scream. You want to write that one down. You know, this healthcare system is out to kill you. It's the death care system. And these companies like Fakebook and ScrewTube are there so that nobody can hear you scream. That's basically it. There you go. Fakebook will restrict certain users if U.S. elections get extremely chaotic. Well, look, you know, all of our channels have, you know, continuously gone black. So it's not that they're going to do it, it's that they've been doing it for years now. Open your eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Epstein held girls captive, subject to severe and extensive sexual abuse. Epstein was central to the enterprise, they say. We're seeing videos of people rising up all around the world, talking about the insanity, talking about the lockdowns. And look, I mean, the economic ramifications are going to be beyond, you know, your imagination, obviously. We're not sure what happened to COVID Dan, but it looks like the people in Melbourne are trying to arrest him for sparking the disease, the outbreak there, by hiring private security at one of their quarantine hotels that ended up having sex with the patients, or the victims, if you will. It's horrible. So they were basically, you know, doing favors for freedom. You know, the guards would get, you know, a little sexual act performed on them in exchange for chocolates or something like that, and people got infected everywhere. Huawei Research Lab on fire. You know, was that a laser strike? We don't know. But you can bet more is coming. And that pretty much brings us back to yesterday's news. You know, if you're just joining us, the big breaking news here is that, you know, the Northern Hemisphere is under a state of emergency. The numbers are going to skyrocket, explode, ladies and gentlemen. And we expect the numbers to be 10 times worse. Now, we'll have to see, you know, who's right out there at the end of the winter. But right now, our projections are 80% probability that this dark winter is going to be much, much worse than what we saw last spring. So we would say right now, treat this seriously. Prepare for dark winter and civil war if you're in America. And, you know, limit your exposure in public places. Even if you feel fine after, you know, having done so, you know, winter will change the dynamics. Limit your exposure to EMF radiation. Turn off your cell phones when you're not using them. Take out the battery, preferably. Get a meter to make sure that you're not getting dosed. And avoid, you know, hot spots. Avoid the Wi-Fi, the wireless, the Bluetooth, all of it, as much as you can. At least make an effort to reduce your exposure. get sunlight, fresh air, all of your vitamins. We highly recommend, vitamin B12 and magnesium, but you want to be at 110% on every vitamin from A to zinc. The higher the quality, the better the quality, the better the absorption rate. So, it's worth the extra $1 or $2 that you might spend for something better and organic, and, test different ones because they're not all the same. We would say take constant anti-inflammatories, but don't overdo it. And when we say anti-inflammatories, we mean the natural kind, like turmeric, baking soda, licorice root, eucalyptus, cannabis. There's tons of them, in fact. So you're gonna want to, vary it, and test out what's the right dose for you. This isn't the doctor's office. We're not giving medical advice, but this is our recommendation. And we say, look at, all of the natural anti-inflammatories that you can. Usually you'll find them, in the organic store as a detox or cough syrups and the like. And, this includes, everything you can imagine, from burdock to forsythia, to artichoke, and many, many more. But fresh air and sunlight are going to be key, especially in the wintertime. Don't load up on the bleach, don't be breathing that stuff in. Air out, ventilate. Avoid the perfumes, the organic volatile compounds, anything that might inflame or irritate the lungs. They say actually that smoking cigarettes may dampen the neurological effects associated with this virus. We can't guarantee that that's a silver bullet, but it may help. We don't recommend people start smoking, but if you are a smoker, this might not be the time to quit if you can handle it. The other things that you really want to avoid are just like pollution from heating oil sources and the like. I'm not sure if your neighborhoods out there are using heating oil, or people are burning wood in fireplaces or whatever, but you really want to avoid that kind of stuff. Even cooking, if you're frying stuff in the pan, ventilate well, because that stuff will irritate your lungs. Anything that's an organic volatile compound, from detergent, perfumes, deodorants, anything with an odor can make it worse. So, have your environment be like fresh air, like mountain air. You don't need the fragrance. You don't need the perfume. Natural, fresh air. That's what you need. We recommend getting out of the cities, getting out of the apartment buildings if you can afford it. If you can go find a cheap home out in the country, lost somewhere, that's probably going to be better. And we feel that this virus travels with the wind like secondhand smoke. So you want to be out of range of a cigarette, basically, when it comes to other people in long-term settings. You don't want to live where you're breathing in other people's air right next door, if you can avoid it. It's like living in the shopping mall. You don't want to live in the shopping mall. You basically want to live in a little bubble somewhere until this thing blows over. And get your supplies, get your first aid, get your medicines. Winter is coming and supplies may run out. Not a guarantee, but get what you can use. And not sure what else to really say there. Not sure what the video guy is doing either. But again, looking at the current statistics right now, they're going parabolic. They're way, way above where you would want to see them at this stage. Now, look, there's all sorts of reasons to not like these numbers. There's no way to verify the numbers. We don't trust this system. It's a pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. Look, there's a million reasons to say, these numbers are bunk. But these are the only numbers that we have. And given, that these numbers definitely correspond to a script, Agenda 21, etc. I mean, I think this tells us that something is happening. No guarantees, only probabilities. So I don't want people to come back next spring and say, "Oh, look, it fizzled away." We said 20% chance. Look, we don't exclude the possibility that this will be okay. But right now people are really looking at the red lines, the death rates, and they're thinking to themselves, "Oh, well, there's nothing there." Okay. Now, if you look at typical flu seasons, in fact, we'll try and find one of these graphs here, but you basically see every flu season drop down to 0 between the months of June and September. And coronavirus is a flu-like virus. So we would absolutely expect the red line to be at about 0 during these months. But we also see the leading indicator, which is the new cases, the active cases. And these things are now at levels, where they were at the peak of the quote-unquote first wave. Not sure if we lost a whole bunch of people there. But, I don't know. They might have ended the stream. Did they end the stream? Yeah, the EMP attack. Well, there's all sorts of things that may come into play during this dark winter. Not sure if we're still live, but whatever. At this stage, though, the numbers are fairly convincing. In all countries, they're reporting more or less the same trend. And this is basically where everybody's at based on, the limits of their surveillance. So this is kind of like, the limit as far as the binoculars will go right now. But according to what they're reporting, across the board, we're seeing the numbers basically exceed where they were at the peak of, the last wave, if you will. And we're only in September. So that's the problem. Right now it doesn't seem so bad, but this is about trajectory. And if the numbers are this intense right now, where will they be in a month from now? Where will they be in 2 months from now? Because now it's starting to get cold and people are going to start being indoors more, right? And, for the most part, it's still okay. It's not that chilly in the Northern Hemisphere, but it's going to be. And it's already kind of winter in Europe. So, but North America, in a couple weeks, by Halloween, it's going to be really cold in most places. So we expect these numbers to skyrocket. That is our anticipation. And so many of you are going to be hearing, "Oh, there is no virus. There's nothing to worry about. There's no deaths. Let your guard down, breathe it in, pretend like it's okay." We do not recommend that. Okay, we understand that that's a possibility, and we're well aware of the possibilities. We're well aware of, what might be going on. But we have to say at this stage, it looks like this is going to be much worse. It looks like it's real, and we recommend that people prepare themselves and do the best you can out there. Okay, so that's going to be it for this broadcast. We appreciate everybody tuning in. As usual, check out our website, stfnreport.com. stfnreport.com. And here's another little fun fact. We see that in London, the areas connected to the tube or the subway are more impacted than areas that are not connected to the subway. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? We'll have to talk about that next time. Until then, if you're listening to this, and avoid the vaccine, for fuck's sakes. If you're listening to this, much love to everybody out there in the audience. See you guys next time. Until the next time. If you're listening to this,